Mental Health Conference. Yes. Today we are focusing on the mind of men, if I'm not mistaken. And we do have more people that will be joining us, but we aren't going to delay any further. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest speaker of the day. He is a licensed clinician. This gentleman knows his stuff. He is going to pour into all of us, male or female. We need to know about the male mind. That's just it. For all of the men that are also in our lives. And so if y'all could give me a great warm welcome, get yourself some energy for Mr. Kavan Purdy, licensed clinician.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, all right, all right. So nice to meet you all. First of all, give honor to God, my Savior. He is not the head of my life, but He is my life because in Him I breathe, I move, I have all of my being. And I thank God for this opportunity to share with you all. Thank you to the apostles, Apostle Ward. All right. God bless you. God bless you. And to Mother Apostle Ward, the visionary. All right, y'all. I am recently licensed, and she when I first met Apostle through my brother. This is my big brother, y'all, Victor. I love him. Through Apostle and just seeing like the apostolic and prophetic portion of therapy. I never have been exposed to that before. And just seeing how I, as a clinician, can also do the same thing. So I really appreciate you, Apostle, for even this opportunity. I don't normally do this, so this is the first of, I'm guessing, many. All right. So, so my name is Kavan Purdy. You can call me KP. So I hail from Suffolk, Virginia. Anybody know anything about Suffolk? Okay. All right. All right. So I'm from Suffolk. I went to Norfolk State University, and behold the green and gold. Then I matriculated to University of Pittsburgh, where at both institutions I still minister to people is already inside of you. He'll advance you, but you have to go through the process. So I hope that makes sense. So I was praying the last year, God, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Like, I need you to really show me. I don't want to be like Moses, keeping sheep, because he's running away from something. And God, I see him slowly but surely just pulling me to my purpose, gaining healing from trauma and their past is something. And a lot of you all have men, and I can feel it. A lot of you have men in your lives. It might not be your husband. It might not be your brother. It might be your dad. And your dad never said nothing. He's able to mask it because that's what my grandfather was born during the silent generation. He work, chop wood, feed the kids, do this, but he masked it. And sometimes when you mask it, what happens? You can mask it, but you won't go to the doctor. A man, and this is what an older man told me. A man should go to the doctor twice a year. So ladies, encourage him to go twice a year and be careful and take his time eating. You'll catch that another time. But I was praying. I said, God, what I want to do, what do you want me to do? So I was talking to, as I created this group at CHKD, I'm like, wow, I can do this. So God, what do you want me to do? And I was looking and I was just trying to find, God, what would you want me to call it? And he gave me the name Man Emerge. And so it's not trademarked, so hopefully the Holy Spirit will cover me and nobody will take it. But it's Man Emerge. It's Man Emerge. And it pretty much, if we go to the next slide, and matter of fact, Mentimeter is a good presentation tool, y'all. I show her back there. So thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so I'm using my phone as a remote, okay? All right. Do you see the next slide? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so the objectives, okay? So today, I want you to gain an understanding of what mental health looks like amongst men of color. I am aware that this is not a racial or ethnic presentation or forum, but I want to speak specifically to African American men. I want to give you all a historical and environmental perspective of things that have contributed to the mental health crisis of men. And I want you to understand the barriers to depression amongst Black men, as well as to know what to do, okay? All right. Y'all see the next slide? Okay. So this slide is called Soul Over Matter. Soul over matter. So I'm not going to, we got Prophet Victor. He's going to talk on the spiritual. I consulted with him throughout this whole thing. But I'm going to read these two scriptures. When you talk about the soul, it talks about the mind. So the Bible says, Genesis 2:7, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Okay. Then we know the story that goes on and what happened and all that in the garden. But then you go to 3 John 2, and then it says, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Okay. And so in the beginning, and the gist of what this means is man had a perfect state of mind. And because of disobedience, it was taken away. But God loves us so much, right? That second verse, he loves us so much that he wishes above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So men, ladies, I want you to make sure this is what you do in your prayer time. And my brother here, any other brothers here, in your prayer time, asking God to take this man that's in my life back to his original state of mind. Okay. So going back to the original state of mind. All right. You follow? Everybody following me? Y'all good? Okay. All right. Am I doing that or? Oh man. Okay. 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 It's all good. Okay. Okay. So what is mental health? So an individual. I know yesterday you all talked about mental health, but what is mental health? So I'm gonna just reiterate what you've already learned probably. So it's the individual's emotional. So what is emotional? Emotional is how I feel, feelings. Okay. Psychological. What is that? Can anybody raise their hand and tell me what psychological might mean? Okay. So psychological is your ability to think, critical thinking skills, being logical, taking your time to process information, okay? And then social well-being. So that's pretty self-explanatory, how he interacts with the community around him, whether that's with his partner, with his children, with his family, with his community, with his job, with the systems, okay? All right. Uh, oh, no, can you go back real quick? All right. So factors that contribute to mental health is genes and brain chemistry, life experiences such as abuse or traumatic experiences, and a family history of mental health. So the state of mental health affects our physical health. The idea that black men are violent and unworthy is cruel and untrue, yet it has the power to swallow a man whole, becoming the operating system for how the world treats him, and sadly, how he treats himself. Okay, so this next slide will go uh, into what I call the brutality of racism, and it's a brutal reality of racism. So I'm gonna do this real quick. You can people hear me online if I put my mic down? Okay. Can I get somebody to assist me? Thank you, sis. Thank you so much. All right. So I have a story to tell. And this is by a doctor. She penned what is called PTSD. Who knows what PTSD is? What is PTSD? Okay. So post-traumatic stress disorder, we all know about that. Oh, I'm good. Thank you, sir. I'm good. Unless you want me to. Do you want me to use it? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Y'all give me a minute now. Give me a minute. Can you hear me? Oh wow, that's oh my goodness. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you. So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's a lot of times we know that military personnel deal with that, but a lot of people deal with it. It's not just military. But this term that she coined, and I'm gonna give you her name. Let me make sure I got it. I'll give it to you after this. And so she came up with the term PTSD, but the S is not stress. Can anybody guess what the S is? What? Post-traumatic slave disorder. Okay? So can I take y'all on a little journey? Take you to a little journey. And I want you to keep in mind the men in your lives, okay, as I talk, okay? So we have 4 characters in a story, okay? And we have, first, I'm going to introduce Sarah. This is Sarah. Sarah is a 38-year-old Caucasian mom, okay? And then I'm also introduce Chanel. She is a 39-year-old African-American mom. And they are both at, they're at a PTS, not PTS, PTA meeting for their son. They both have 2 sons, right? And so Chanel has a son named Carlton. Carlton is 11 years old, all right? Sarah has a son, 11-year-old Edward. He's 11 years old. Caucasian, African American. All right? So they're sitting down at the table talking. They've just given lunch and they've given the students awards. And Sarah is just rambling about her son. She's just talking about her son. Oh my goodness. Edward is so smart and he's just doing such a phenomenal job. And he's on honor roll. And I'm just so super proud of him, of all of his accomplishments, right? But then she recognizes, wait, Carlton is just as smart as my son. Okay? Carlton is just as smart as my son. So guess what she does? She says to Chanel, Chanel, your son he's the top of the class. I know that you're super proud of him. I know that you can't wait until he goes to high school. He's going to get so many scholarships for college because Carlton is a very smart kid. African-American little boy, but he's smart. Can anybody tell me what Chanel's response is? Don't give me as a mom. Think about the part of you that, that's all of us got some bad parts of us. I want you to give me a statement that Chanel says to Sarah after she's heard what Sarah told her about her son. He just like his daddy. He just like his daddy. Yeah, that's not my son. That's not my son. Or he all right. He all right. He doing all right. He's doing all right. Okay. So, did you see that interaction? Right? Now, let's go back. Thank you so much. Let's go back. It's 2024, so let's go back 200 years ago. Okay. Right? Now, it just so happens that Sarah's ancestor is a plantation owner. And Chanel's ancestor is a slave on the field. And she has named her son after slave owner. Okay? And so they're on the field, it's hot, it's 100-degree weather, it's humid. They got all these clothes on, they're picking cotton, tobacco, whatever. And the slave master comes on the field just to do inspection. He does inspection. Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost. He does inspection and he goes to, let's say that mom's name is Sally. Now this is Sally, which is a common slave name of women at that time. He said, Sally, oh, your boy's doing really good. He's doing good work. He's doing really good work. What y'all think Sally's response is? Say, he all right? She don't even say that. Guess what she say? He dumb. He's stupid. He's stupid. But why would she say that? To protect him. Because if I say that if I empower my son, he's like to take my son away. And it's epigenetics. They call it epigenetics. It goes from bloodline to bloodline just because of that. And because of what she did, she passed to her kids this fear factor. And a lot of boys, their parents, how your parents treated you and empowered you from youth to adulthood is going to impact everything. So I'm going to not just for boys, but I'm going to encourage every parent in here, don't be negative with your kids. Don't be negative with your kids. Make them feel like they can do anything. Because genetically we feel like I can't, because if I know a lot of parents, I won't send my son to college because I'm afraid something's going to happen. But his destiny is attached to him going away. Now, if you're a believer, guess what? He don't belong to you anyway. Okay, so okay, all right. So let's see. Let me just try to see if it's gonna work for me real quick. So that's that right there. Is it making sense, everybody? Okay, all right. Um, all right. Let's see. Let's see if it goes. Wait a minute. Come on. Okay, you go ahead. Use it. That's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. So a pre-COVID pandemic, stats don't lie. So African American men are 20% more likely to have serious psychological distress than whites are. Suicide is the third leading cause of death amongst African Americans ages 15 to 24, but with men are 4 times likely more to die by suicide than African American women are. And the proportion of African Americans who need mental health treatment and get it is half of that than whites. Okay? So a pandemic, we've experienced pandemic in our lifetime. I believe the last pandemic was the Spanish flu, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that was in the 1910s. I think 1918 is when the Spanish flu occurred. And so now so we know what a pandemic is. But in all actuality, there was a pandemic before that. But our white counterparts look at the science, but we look at how we interact. That was a pandemic. This is a pandemic. The stats don't lie about it. Whatever numbers are shown through the CDC, so that's the Centers of Disease Control, and other research institutions, they only represent a small number of people who decide to be included in the sample. So when somebody comes to your house, they say, can you be a part of this research project? But a lot of us, our culture is, I don't want nobody in my business. I ain't gonna talk. I don't know you. Now, our other counterparts, they don't mind sharing stuff. They don't mind being transparent. They're gonna, but us, because we've been so traumatized, we don't talk about what we're experiencing. Okay? So so what we see, any statistic that you have, it's not gonna be, it's not all the way there. Because a lot of people, they refuse to participate in gathering the evidence. Okay, next slide. Okay, so does everybody have their smartphone? Okay, so I want you to type in on your, I think, let me see, any search engine that you have, type in Menti, so that's MENTI.com. Okay, and then it's gonna tell you to put a code in. So just tell me when everybody's there. And the question is, why don't we talk? So let's talk to men. And why don't men talk? That's to the ladies. That's your response. Or that's your question. The code is 5311 3129. 5311 3129. And the question is, why don't we talk? And nobody, don't put your name. It's going to be completely anonymous. Why don't men talk? Ladies, that's your question. And it's a statement. You can write anything. You can type what you think. Y'all got it? Y'all got it? Okay. So I'm trying. Did anybody put a response yet? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, it's working. Yeah, put a response in. Put a response in. Okay, I got 4 responses so far. There's more than 4 people in here. I know there's some people online. Why don't men talk? Why don't men talk? And brothers, you can tell why we don't talk from your perspective.
Everybody do it? Who's struggling? Who, the code is 5311-3129. 5311-3129. 5311-3129. Okay, y'all coming in here. All right. I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. Thirty more seconds. Sounds good. Looks good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right. So 17 responses. Okay. So lack of protection. The person who said that, I don't want you to speak, but when you see lack of protection, can somebody expound on that, on what you think that means, lack of protection? Not the person that put it. I'm a voluntold person. Y'all know what that is? Okay, good. So just wanna, okay, financial. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, that's good. That's a good one. Who's gonna believe him? Right. I can't trust you. Wow. Fear of showing weakness, pride. So that's several times. Okay. Wow. Fear of showing weakness and pride, avoiding preconceived consequences. Can somebody explain that to me? Okay, okay. I was trying not to put y'all on the spot. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, my goodness. Mm. So if I tell my wife or my girlfriend that I was molested by a man, she can reject me. So they so they done look so they don't look weak. Okay, that's understandable. Feeling weak, unimportant, trying to keep the peace. I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue all the time. To avoid altercations and stress, feel unheard, fear of being vulnerable or opening up. If I tell it, are you confidential? Are you gonna go tell everybody else? Are you gonna get on the phone and go talk to somebody? Control. That's powerful. Cause we all want control. This is what men are thinking, and this is what you as moms and sisters and nieces and daughters, because you have, this is personal, you have men in your lives. And if the men are not here, that means a part of you is gone. We have to change our perspective. Okay, next slide. So stigma is defined as a set of negative or unfair beliefs that a society or group of people have about something. So mental health stigma is negative reactions that people experience after revealing they have a mental health disorder or have sought out mental health treatment. Okay. Private stigma is rooted in how people view themselves for seeking treatment. Okay. Next slide. So here's some examples of what is stigma in our community, African American community, especially what we've heard as men. I'm not crazy. I'm all right. Our ancestors went through much worse. Whatever happens in this house, y'all know that one, huh? Whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Okay? I'm going to pray about it. That's a big one. I'm not crazy, but these two right here, what happens in this house, and I don't have to go into detail on what you all, you know it, you feel it, because you've heard it. I've heard it, and I've kept it, but you don't have to keep it, especially if you need to be free. And so I'm gonna do a little demonstration real quick. I know I'm all over the place, y'all. I'm sorry. And so I play tennis, so don't judge me. So can somebody name? I need a bro. Can you come here real quick? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And you can stand there. Okay, I got a family to raise. And turn so everybody can see you. Thank you, bro. Family to raise. What's another stressor? Somebody give them another stressor. Job. Bills to pay. What? Say it one. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody else got something? Being black. Being a black man. Okay, what else? Oh, not going to the doctor, not doing your checkups. Broken family. My dad wasn't in the house. No friends, no social support. Okay, anybody else? No time. It's getting. I'm trying to help you, bro. I don't know what to do. Anybody else got something? Come on, cause y'all, this is life. Children acting up in school, being terrible. Oh, you can't, bro. You can't drop it. You can't drop it. You can't drop it. This is one more. I need one more. Oh my God. And let's talk about that. Sexual trauma is known among the ladies, but men, it's happened to them too. It's happened to them too. And it's just amazing. 1 Corinthians, I'm not going into detail, but I was reading about 1 Corinthians, meat for the belly and the belly for meat, but the body belongs to God. And it talks about fornication, right? Yeah. It talks about fornication. But it says that fornication, out of all those other sins that are done outside the body, sexual, it binds. So guess what it does? When an adult or an authority figure sexually assaults a child, a boy, and that boy either goes this way or that way, bro, how does it feel to hold all that? It's a lot, right? And guess what? Our fathers and our uncles, they've been doing this for years. And holding it. If I ask him to sit down and hold that the whole time, y'all see what I'm saying? That's what we deal with. Do you understand? Thank you. Come on, give him a hand clap. Sorry. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. You good, you good. But guess what happens? Guess what happens when we decide to put it in the bag and not hold it anymore and be free? I got the bag. I can manage it, better with a bag. But if I have it all still inside, I can't do nothing else. I can't use this hand, but now I can use this hand. I can switch it. I can put it around my neck. I can do certain things to manage it. And that's the dilemma with our men today. Next slide. Okay, so we're gonna watch this video. Okay, does the sound work? Okay, so this video, this is Tony Porter. This is a TED talk, and this is something that I show to all my men in my support group, and when I was doing domestic violence in Pittsburgh. Any questions so far? While we waiting for the sound? Okay, okay. Is the volume on the computer? Okay, all right. And I can play it on my laptop if it doesn't. Growing up as a boy, we was taught that men had to be tough, had to be strong, had to be courageous, dominating, no pain, no emotions, with the exception of dominating. So I grew up in New York City, 28 Harlem, Bronx. Growing up as a boy, we was taught that men had to be tough, had to be strong, had to be courageous, dominating, no pain, no emotions, with the exception of anger and definitely no fears. That men are in charge, which means women are not. That men lead, and you should just follow and just do what we say. That men are superior, women are inferior. That men are strong, women are weak. That women are of less value, property of men and objects, particularly sexual objects. I've later come to know that to be the collective socialization of men. Has in it all the ingredients of how we define what it means to be a man. Now, I also want to say, without a doubt, there are some wonderful, wonderful, absolutely wonderful things about being a man. But at the same time, there's some stuff that's just straight up twisted. And we really need to begin to challenge, look at it, and really get in the process of deconstructing, redefining what we come to know as manhood. This is my two at home, Kendall and Jade. They're 11 and 12. Kendall's 15 months older than Jade. There's a period of time, when my wife, her name is Tammy, and we just got real busy and big bam boom, Kendall and Jade. Right. And when they were about 5 and 6, 4 and 5, Jade could come to me. It didn't matter. Come to me crying, It didn't matter what she was crying about. She'd get on my knee. She'd just knock my sleeve up, just cry it out. Daddy got you. That's all that's important. Now, Kendall, on the other hand, like I said, he's only 15 months older than her. He come to me crying. It's like as soon as I would hear him crying, the clock would go off. I would give the boy probably about 30 seconds, which means by the time he got to me, I was already saying things like, why are you crying? Pull your head up. Look at me. Explain to me what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. I can't understand you while you're crying. And out of my own frustration of my role and responsibility of building him up as a man to fit into these guidelines, these
talk to me, but you can talk to me like
A man.
burst out crying. He didn't want to cry in front of me, but he knew he wasn't going to make it back to the city. It was better me than to allow himself to express these feelings and emotions in front of the women. And this is a man 10 minutes ago that just put his teenage son in the ground. Something I just can't even imagine. The thing that sticks with me the most is that he was apologizing to me for crying in front of me. And at the same time, he was also giving me props, lifting me up for not crying. You know, I come to also look at this as this fear that we have as men, this fear that just have us paralyzed, holding us hostage to this man box. I can remember speaking to a 12-year-old boy, a football player, and I asked him, I said, how would you feel in front of all the players if coach told you you were playing like a girl? Now I expected him to say something like, I'll be sad, I'll be mad, I'll be angry, or something like that. No, the boy said to me, it would destroy me. And I said to myself, God, if it would destroy him, he called a girl. What are we then teaching him? Buildings, you know, in the city. At this time, building next to the named Johnny. He was about 16 years old, and we were all about 12 years old, younger guys, and he was all us younger guys. And this guy, he was up to a lot of no good. He was the kind of kid where parents would have to wonder, what is this 16-year-old boy doing with these 12-year-old boy? And he did spend a lot of time up to no good. You know, his mother had died on overdose. He was being raised by his grandmother. His father wasn't on the set. His grandmother had 2 jobs. He was home alone a lot. But I tell you, we young guys, we looked up to him, man. He was cool. He was fine. That's what his sister said. He was fine, right? He was having sex. You know, we all looked up to him. So one day I'm out in front of the house doing something, just playing around, doing something, I don't know what. He looks out his window, he calls me upstairs. He said, hey, Anthony, call me Anthony, growing up as a kid. Hey, Anthony, come on upstairs. Johnny called, you go. So I run right upstairs. As he opens the door, he says to me, do you want some? Now, I immediately knew what he meant. Because for me growing up at that time and our relationship with this man box, do you want some meant one or two things, sex or drugs. And we weren't doing drugs. Now, my box, my card, my man box card was immediately in jeopardy. 2 things. One, I never had sex. We don't talk about that as men. You only tell your dearest, closest friends, sworn secrets for life, the first time you had sex. For everybody else, we go around like we've been having sex since we was 2. There ain't no first time. The other thing I couldn't tell them is that I didn't want any. You know, that's even worse. We're supposed to always be on the prowl. Women are objects, especially sexual objects. So anyway, I couldn't tell him any of that. So like my mother would say, make a long story short, I just simply said to Johnny, yes. He told me go in his room. I go in his room, on his bed, there's a girl from the neighborhood named Sheila. She's 16 years old. She's new. She's what I know today to be mentally ill, higher functioning at times than others. We had a whole choice of, you know, inappropriate names for her. Anyway, Johnny had just gotten through having sex with her. Well, he actually raped her, but he would say he had sex with her because while Sheila never said no, she also never said yes. So he was offering me the opportunity to do the same. So when I go in the room, I close the door. Folks, I'm petrified. I stand with my back to the door so Johnny can't bust in the room and see that I'm not doing anything. And I stand there long enough that I could have actually done something. So now I'm no longer trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm trying to solve this. And they asked me how was it. And I say to them, it's good. And I zip my pants up in front of them. It is so remorse, and I was feeling a tremendous amount of remorse, but I was conflicting. And while I was feeling remorse, I was excited because I didn't get caught, but I knew about what was happening. This fear getting outside the bandbox told envelope was way more important to me about me and my man than about and what was happening to her. Significantly, we as men are taught that this value when to view them as property and the objects of men. We see that as an equation that equals violence against women. We as men, good men, the large majority of men, we operate on the foundation of this whole collective socialization. We kind of see ourselves separate, but we're very much a part of it. You see, we have to come to understand that less value, property, and objectification is the foundation, and violence can't happen without it. So we're very much a part of the solution as well as the problem. The Centers for Disease Control says that men's violence against women is at epidemic proportions. It's the #1 health concern for women in this country and abroad. So quickly, I like to just say, this is my love of my life, my daughter Jay. The world I envision for her. How do I want men to be acting and behaving? I need you on board. I need you with me. I need you working with me and me working with you on how we raise our sons and teach them to be men. That it's okay to not be dominated. That it's okay to have feelings and emotions. That it's okay to promote equality. That it's okay to have women who are just friends and that's it. That it's okay to be whole. That my liberation as a man is tied to your liberation as a woman. I remember asking a 9-year-old boy, what would life be like for you if you didn't have to adhere to this man box? He said to me, I would be free. Thank you, folks.
Okay. Thank you, Apostle. Thank you all. So I'm not gonna go through a review of that. Hopefully you could hear it. But before the video closes, just pay attention where it's gone now. Did y'all see the room? What was the audience? Huh? Not us. Now this black man, now colorism is a thing. So this black man, he's dark skinned, dark complexion. All these white women. The people who needed to be in the room weren't in the room. Because guess who is the greatest supporter to black men? Who is the greatest supporter to black men? No. It's supposed to be us. Well, it's supposed to be y'all. It's supposed to be the black woman. But when the black man shows some form of weakness, what does the black woman say? Y'all know. They do. And so in the man box is something that Tony Porter, the gentleman that we just saw, he created this with another individual. And so I can give that to you all. This PowerPoint, I can give it to you all so you can review it. So let's go to the next slide. So I'm just going to encourage you ladies, listen. The biggest thing you can do is listen. Okay? And that's towards the end of the presentation, but the biggest thing that you can do is listen. So here are signs of depression. I'm going to just do a few of them. Aches, pains, headaches, cramps, trouble falling asleep, feeling guilty, worthless, helpless, hopeless, pessimism. Always seeing yourself as under, And there's something fully transparent. It's me. I feel like I'm not worthy enough, so I kind of take the back burner. But and then thinking about or attempting suicide or completing a suicide. Those are the signs of depression. Again, a lot of times uh, there's a book, and I really want you all to look this book up. Write this book down. You can get it on Amazon. I think I have it. You can get it on Amazon. If you have Audible and you like audiobooks, it's really good. The book is called The Invisible Ache. Black men identifying with their pain and reclaiming their power. It's by Courtney Vance. Who knows who Courtney Vance is? He's an actor. What is it? What movie is he from? Preacher's Wife. What else? What's that other movie? What's that other movie that he was in? He met his wife who was also on the movie. It's the 90s movie. It's no. Come on, right? So what was that movie in the 90s? Close. What's the next? What's the one that before that? Angela Bassett. Waiting to Exhale. I was trying to wait, get y'all some time. So, yeah, Waiting to Exhale. That was the last guy that Angela, but that's her husband. Okay, all right. But he wrote this book. He wrote this book with a psychologist, Dr. Robin Smith. And he talks about how his father in 1990, by this time he was in college, he was on Broadway, but his father's like a lot of us, like a lot of our fathers. What happened was his father worked, made sure that the family was taken care of, all of these other things. But hidden behind the scene, his father was still dealing with the trauma. This is why these kids, your kids are important, everybody. Your kids, don't, please treat your children the way that God wants them to be treated and raised, okay? Courtney's father, Mr. Vance, I'm gonna call him Mr. Vance, his mother was raped. And in the 30s, what happened with our folks? When you young, you get pregnant, what would grandma and them do? Huh? Send you away. And so he grew up thinking his mom didn't want him. This is Courtney B. Vance's father, not him, his father. So now his father feels like he went to foster care. Foster care parents were not good parents. They took advantage of him. He was smart. They took his money. And he just, out of respect for his foster parents, that's fine, okay. And he went to work, found work, met his wife, had Courtney and his sister. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't out here pimping, or he wasn't doing any of that. He was a normal man from the surface. But guess what? The only inheritance that his foster father gave him was, can you imagine, can you tell me what you think the only inheritance that he got from his foster father? Not name, but that's good. Guns. Only thing he left behind. And guess what happens? Commit suicide. Nobody knew. Nobody knew what was going on. This is the story of the black man. This is what we've been dealing with. So he commits suicide. Then, that was in 1990. Then, 2022, during the pandemic. Now, after his father committed suicide, Courtney's mother said, hey, I need you to go and see a psychologist because she was grieving, everybody grieving. She didn't understand why this happened. She couldn't even understand why he kept guns in the house because he wasn't a violent man, never was in the military or anything. She convinces Courtney to go to therapy. Courtney starts the process for therapy. But then, and this, it hits home, his godson commits suicide. So Courtney's like, okay, now I have to speak out. I've tried therapy. I'm doing therapy. It's time to talk. And this is how and this book is a phenomenal reference to help us as people know what to do in these situations, okay? Next slide. So this is a quote from the book, Dr. Smith. She says, constantly being eyed with suspicion and derision leave many men anxious, tense, and resentful. But black men's trauma can play hide and seek. Can somebody tell me what they think that means? Suppress it comes to the surface. Anybody else? Anybody else? And deny it. That's good. So your family member might not commit suicide, right? But it comes out in other ways. What's another way that it comes out? Self-sabotage. Okay, let's think more personal. I gotta wake up every morning and smoke a blunt. I know how many people know a few people that every morning I gotta smoke a blunt. Or Hennessy. Oh my goodness, Woo! Hennessy. What else? Anybody got anything else? Hypersexual. So he overindulges in food, sex, or just working all the time. Doesn't take any of his PTO. Workaholic. Not exercising or not working, over exercising to fit that body image that he thinks, because just like the ladies do the same thing, men do the same thing. I need to look a certain way to be accepted. These are the things that men deal with. And they create a buffer to how he really feels, and he doesn't express. Okay? Next slide. Okay, so I was going to do a group activity, but I'm going to do it like this. And so we're going to use Mentimeter, okay? So the biggest thing, as we go towards the end of the slides, the biggest takeaway is showing up, men. Ladies, encouraging your men just to show up. I don't want you to be nothing but show up. So I want you to look at this. It says, how are you feeling today? The words good and bad are not allowed. Okay? So I want you to go to that same link, Mentimeter. We're going to do this. Once you learn how to do it, you can use it for your presentations. I want y'all to learn how to do it. Mentimeter. Okay? Okay, all right. So Mentimeter on your phone, you can go to your browser, MENTI.com, MENTI.com, and then type in the code. That code 5311, same code 3129. MENTI.com, and then put in the code 5311 3129. It's on the slide. Wait a minute. Y'all got it? Okay. Okay, wait a minute. How about now? Okay, so I'm controlling it. Okay, my bad. Okay. All right, y'all got it? Do not use the words good or bad. And the number again is 53113129. You got it? Anybody responded yet? Anybody put anything yet? It should show up soon. Okay. Okay, wow. Wow. This is amazing. Okay. Okay, so we have 18 responses. So I'm going to read what I have, okay? So we have somebody in here that's frustrated or online frustrated. Somebody's feeling empathetic. Somebody's feeling open, hopeful, excited, empowered, over it. Oh my goodness. Woo. Relaxed, blessed, tired, compassionate, love. Who are disappointed? Oh my goodness. Straight. I'm feeling straight. I'm straight. Okay. All right. Okay. Somebody said blessed. Okay. So why do you think I did that? Why do you think I said to tell me how you feel today? I did that so that you can normalize what it feels like to express how you feel. You have to be normalized because we aren't allowed to feel in our lives, normal lives, and the people around us. But when we create spaces and communities, that's what happens. We feel, we know, but once it's trained, once it becomes a muscle, then you can start to, hey, how you feeling today? You ain't gotta be so robotic and say, use one word to describe you, but just say, how you feeling today? And if they say, I'm feeling all right, well, you can say, well, you want to check in? I'm here to talk. Let's talk. Let's talk about it. If they're feeling good, I'm so excited. Look, I'm so happy for you. Because we as a community have not been taught to do that. That's what stays in this house, happens in this house, stays in this house thing is a real thing. Okay? Next slide. So how can you be a friend to someone dealing with depression? I'm not going to just use depression, but let's use just experiencing some type of crisis, any type of crisis. First thing you can do is reach out, okay? So first thing is to reach out. You can say things like, I've been worried about you. I've been thinking about you. I've noticed some changes. You're not doing what you used to do, okay? It sounds like you're having a tough time. It must really be hard. You normalize what they're experiencing, okay? Then number 2 is don't make him regret. I'm talking to the ladies. Men too who are dealing with other men. And another thing, brothers, and it's so much to this. It's a lot, okay? But brothers, somebody will say, well, what about black men hurting black men? Okay, they might, we see that on the news, gangs. It's a reason why they do that. The black man doesn't see himself. He doesn't see himself because he was never allowed to see himself. So when I see another brother, I see him as an individual. I don't see him as my brother. But we can get back to that. So, ladies, or if you're talking to or if you're trying to empower a man, you don't say things like, it's all in your head, you think you're doing too much. You're just having a bad day. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Ain't nothing to worry about. It might be something to worry about. Stop gaslighting and making people feel like for how they feel. And I know it's hard because we've been doing it constantly, but we got to train our brain. It's constant training. Just like you have to train your brain every morning to take your medication, do it. Okay, so here are some ways to heal, okay? So therapy. You know, Apostle has created this experience for individuals to receive treatment, but therapy is a taboo subject in our community. You don't always need a black therapist. You don't need a black therapist. You need somebody that's going to listen, that's first, and walk alongside you on your journey. That's it. Now, if you want preferences, that's fine. You can have preferences. Courtney Vance had an East Indian, so from India, an East Indian doctor that helped him get through his experience. So Courtney, let's normalize, hey, let's go talk to somebody. It's okay to talk to somebody. Whether it's once a week, you don't have to go to therapy every week. You can go every other week. You can go once a month. You can make that with your therapist. But go, show up. Just show up. There are resources. If you don't have the finances, there are resources. There's the sliding scale. There's certain things that are in place because I would rather you go through therapy than me just put you on an altar and bury you. And then the family's dealing with the aftermath. And then they need therapy. And then they don't go, and it becomes a pattern. Redefine masculinity. I'm not crying. Why am I? Men don't cry. Oh, you such a sissy. Come on. That's what they say. Redefine what masculinity looks like. Okay? Connect with intentionality. So back in the day, I grew up in the country in Suffolk, okay? And that whole street, guess what was that whole street with my grandparents? Family. It was family. I can go next door. If I don't want to go to my grandma's house because she don't got no hot dogs, I can go over here to Aunt Dora's house. I know she got hot dogs. Or if she don't got no hot dogs, she can give me a popsicle and I can watch TV, and then she get tired of me and say, go back to your grandma's house. And grandma, she say, go get some sugar. I mean, it was that community. Community was there, but as time has progressed, our ancestors and the ones who came before us, they've transitioned, and people have become more what? Individual. But individualism is not always good. I really don't believe in it. We need community. God put us in life together to be in community. Because if I'm connected to you, I can feel you. And I can be like, bro, come on, that ain't you. Come on, let's go. Or you can call me at nighttime and say, bro, I'm having a hard time. Can you come and talk to me? Talk me off this cliff. Okay? Forgive from the inside. Okay? Forgive from the inside. So forgiveness is not about that person, it's about who? It's for you. So no matter what somebody has done to you and has caused you to be in this dilemma, has caused a traumatic experience, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Okay? And then finding and creating spaces of healing. Maybe when I started Man Emerge, and I'm still praying, y'all. I'm still praying, ask God to give me insight on how to structure it. But You say I can be spiritual, right? So Holy Spirit led me to two brothers I went to high school with. I think he was showing me what can happen, right? Went to high school with them, my brothers, but we, as adult, as life happens, you have families. So these two guys, they have kids. They have two kids each. And so I asked them, hey, would you be interested in like coming to like a support group? Never thought that they would do it. And they were a little leery and, but I really had to kind of just say, it's going to be good. It got so much to the point that when we would meet, and I'm tired, KP, where you at? We need to meet. Because once a man opens up one time, once he opens up one time, y'all, and you don't have to be a therapist to do it. You don't have, they go to the beauty shop and get therapy. I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all do. You get therapy. You get your therapy. Some men go to the barbershop. I go to the barbershop. Sometimes it's like, yeah. But that's them expressing themselves. But if we create spaces, and what I was going to do is say, you all create your own peer support groups. Create those spaces for people to be healed. So a person finding a place of healing. So finding his community, finding people to reach, and then us, the mandate, and this is what I'm saying, the mandate for us is for us to do what? Create. So if you have to call everybody over because you're the matriarch or the patriarch of your family, and you have to spend $100, $200 just for some hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, just for fellowship, and you create those spaces. Because when they leave your house, they go back to life. But they need to know that they have a lifeline. And they don't feel like they have a lifeline. I recently, my friend lost her brother to suicide. And he did it was, what he did as far as writing and letting his family know this was about to happen at the last minute. Now people are, what happened? Why didn't he talk? Well, he was talking, but you weren't listening. But you know what? He could be your son. And to see a grieving mother and father, I see a father who just sit at the casket and just look. Can't show no emotion because it's going to show weakness. And mother's she just hurt. And the only person he could talk to, his sister, my friend, heartbroken. But it don't got to be that way. We can change that. But we got to get out ourselves. Get out yourself. Get out yourself. Get out yourself. Move yourself out the way. Because you're in the way of somebody being free. And as ladies, I'm telling you, my mom could say, boy, I love your bald head. You know how that would make me feel? My mom says that. Or my partner, she says, I love your bald head. If you could do that, and it just changes my whole perspective of my day, just imagine what you can do by simply being present and listening, not responding. What am I trying to say? Listening to understand, not to respond. Don't respond to everything. Everything you don't deserve a response. Some things you need to just be quiet and listen. Because if you listen, guess what he's gonna do next time? Come back to you. And then you set the boundary, okay, I'm doing this for you. I need the same courtesy for myself. You create that connection, okay? Let's go to the next slide. I think it's it. Yes, ma'am. Ooh. So when you need a space to talk, it's not like a uneven balance. It's balance. Where I'm doing it for this person, I'm doing it for you. I want the same for myself. And you create, but we have to learn how to set boundaries. If it's too much, if you don't have the capacity to hold some information, you need to let that person know that. If you don't have the capacity to hold information, don't let them know. Your pride, you're not, you'll be all right. But if I'm doing it for, if that female, if that, I'm using the dynamic of men and women. If I'm creating that space for him, I want him to create the same space for me. And it's equal. But men are just, they're not, it takes time for me to trust you. But once I trust you, you got me. Does that make sense? Okay. And so here are some resources, y'all. So of course, we have psychology today. If you you need some, you are trying to find a therapist or anything, and here are all the resources you can look at it. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. 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 So if I know that this information is too much for me, I need to share with them, hey, wait a minute. I don't think I can handle this right now. You step away. You get connected to your support system on how you should navigate those conversations with your partner or with your son or with your nephew. And you proceed like that and you let them know, hey, okay, I'm either able to handle the information that you're giving me or I'm not. So they know, okay, I can't share that information with you or I can't confide in you in that capacity. Does that make sense? Mhm. Right. I think it depends. It depends sometimes. But the biggest thing is a lot of times our pride keeps us from proceeding and I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. Our pride will keep us receiving stuff that we know we can't handle, and we, in the end, can cause more damage than good. So that I think more so you look at internally and introspectively and determining in yourself, okay, especially if you're a believer, really asking God, help me to get to the point where I can provide the support that this person needs. Right, right. Yes, ma'am. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you okay? So are you right? Mm-hmm. Right. 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 I I really believe when you're working with boys and you're training them to be men, communicating and not using, I think our language sometimes can be very, this is my house. Like you're not, our language can be very spicy. Or for dads, it could be kind of like, you're not gonna do that, right? But having that communication, you're setting boundaries. You can't do that in my house. But let's talk about that. Let's wherever the situation is, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. and we don't know how to talk because we weren't taught to the right way. But you talk to your employer, you code switch with your employer, but you can't be graceful and kind. I ain't saying be nice, but be kind. It's two different things. Be kind to your child. Cause we're not used. I'm the parent. You don't. That's not a right. That's not a good way to be, y'all. That's not a good way to be. I'm the parent. You the child. You stay in your place. So we change our language. Ooh, y'all got me sweating up here, boy. Woo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes. Mm. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Transpire. Yeah. Right. 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 And so the question is, this is just me saying, if they're not opening up to you, is there anybody, let's first identify anybody in their circle that they will open up to. You might not be the parent, but they might like Uncle Joe, who take them to the park and play football all the time to talk. Okay? But Uncle Joe got to be wise and strategic because he can't tell you, because I tell you information. Mama bear gonna come out. It's gonna come out. Just like people change jobs, just like people change beauticians, barbers, dentists, doctors. You can change a therapist. Find a therapist, another therapist. He's a child. He's a child. He's gonna follow your lead. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is a safe space, confidential place. Yeah. That wasn't. Yeah. Wow. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Right. How old is he? Okay. Okay. Mm. Wow. What does he like to do? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Wow. Dressing? Okay. Right. And how do you all empower those things? How do you all, how do you show excite? I'm excited that you do this. Like what? Oh wow. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ladies. Okay. Young ladies. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vic. Go ahead. Yeah. Mm, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. Mm, they know what's up. Thank you. Thank you, Prophet. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mm, right. Anybody have a response for that? Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Gift to minister to women. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Yeah. Play. Right. Let your children be children. I think that if you look at, and this is not about children, but just men in general, culturally, it's different cultures have different things. But the samurai, anybody know the significance of the samurai? Is any is Asian, right? Japan. Anybody know about no nobody knows about samurai? Honorable, a code of ethics and honor and all of that, right? Um, but they're violent fighters. But do you know what one of the things that they did for self care? Anybody know? They planted flowers. I mean, flowers. So toxic masculinity has taken us down a road that and it's impacted our the women and the men. But we can change that perspective. We can change it. So you're doing a good job. Yeah, go ahead. And this is our group session, so we're gonna help each other. I don't know all the answers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
So I find myself not really talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
but I talk to myself.
Okay.
You know, you don't say this, you don't say that, you don't correct this, and you don't correct that.
Mm-hmm.
Let him know,
Right.
open, let him play. And then they'll come to me with certain, oh, well, or this, but I
Right.
try to, like you said, I'm learning to
Yeah.
let him, find himself as a kid.
Right.
So just what you say, that you um, tradition.
Go ahead, Apostle. Go ahead, Apostle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My kids was growing up.
Yeah.
Right? Um, things in my family that I did not because I got saved at 18 and not everybody in my family got saved. And there were some things that my family was doing. Now, what I did by the instructions of the Lord, my kids didn't spend the night at grandma's house and
Yeah.
auntie house and all of that, right?
Amen.
And I was okay with them not going to family functions, right? I had no problem addressing it when it happened because at the end of the day, God was going to hold me responsible, not
ma'am.
mama, not grandma, not auntie, not uncle. And one thing that, I got to stand up on this. One thing that we have to, if our kids need to see us stand up for them, because one thing I did not allow people to call my kids was sissies. They didn't get the option to say, you quit crying because you acting like a sissy. Because then the masculinity side of me would stand up. I just didn't do it. And that's even in church. I had a mother say to me one day that my little son, he's very spoiled. I checked that. You don't get to call my child spoiled. Go look at yours. But that was my way of doing stuff. So what we have to understand as parents, God gave you the babies. You're responsible. And so if grandparents and them are not healthy, then you can't check my children.
That's right.
Right? So the issue is not grandma and grandpa. The issue is you as a parent got to learn how to set boundaries and understand that God gave you the responsibility to raise those children. Mama, you raised me, and dad, you raised me, whether it was good or bad. But don't let mom and dad re-traumatize you and cause that trauma then go on your children because you won't stand up and say, no, we're not doing that. So sometimes if you got to keep them at home,
Keep them at home.
then keep them at home. If you know they're supposed to be in church, they don't get to go to auntie in them house and miss church. Because then you got to deal with the demon that was put in them while they were staying away from home from church.
There you go. All right. Any more questions? This is Apostle. Yes. Yes, sir.
I don't think.
Okay.
But I've been dealing with the youth.
Okay.
Over 50 years.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things, especially dealing with young men,
Yeah.
and I've had questions about my son.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tools that I started using who do you want him? Because one of the guys came to me, he had an issue with his son.
Okay.
Nothing on the team but girls.
Yeah.
But I explained to him, I said, who would you rather for him to be better, girls or boys?
Mm-hmm.
He paused for a second. Wow. He said, but it's not right for a guy to be a
Cheerleader. Wow.
I said, have you ever seen the male cheerleader? I said when I was young, and I'm not trying to be vulgar,
Yeah.
I said when I was young, I would have loved to have put my hand under some of those girls that he put in.
Yes, sir. Be honest, Apostle. Yes, sir. A young boy, yeah. I get it. You right, Apostle. That's good. Right. You're connected and they love it. The lady, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he's on to something.
Okay.
Because being honest, when the men are sitting around talking, half the time you're talking about.
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And your son is starting out early. He already knows.
Right.
I want to hang out with it.
Yeah. You know what's up. Yeah. Anybody got any? Does anyone have any feedback for that or anything? It's a good perspective. All right. Right. He is. He's how to handle them. He's getting hands-on training on how to handle a lady, how to protect. Right. All right, y'all good? Okay, I think my time is up, everybody. But I appreciate you all. Thank you, Apostle. Thank you all. Thank you.
So let me ask you this. Are you still taking outpatient clients? Because I can send a whole lot of mails to you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we got you.
All right. Let's give it up again for Mr. KP and everything that he just taught us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wasn't that amazing, y'all? I don't know about you, but I learned a lot for all of the men in my life. And I just want to say thank you so much for your insight and the wisdom that you poured out into us today. Right now, we are going to go ahead and break for lunch. The lunch is in the back. So are they ready to serve now? Okay, if you are ready to go ahead and get lunch. And right after lunch, we are going to go ahead and hear from none other than Prophet Vic. And right after Prophet Vic, we will be hearing from Prophet Sherelle. So let's go ahead and eat, everybody. Y'all heard him. 30-minute lunch break. We'll be back in 30 minutes. So right now it is 1:15. We'll be back here at 1:45.